So, hello and welcome, everybody. Can you believe it? The time is now because we're going to be going over how to use AI to double your production in 2026. That is a big claim, I think we can all say, but I can share with you as I've been digging deeper and deeper and deeper into this, I'm getting more and more excited. Cam Mirage, who's the founder of First Team Real Estate, shared with me something that's really powerful. He said that the way to motivate someone is to put something within their reach, right? And one of the things that I've truly been experiencing over the last couple months, few months about really digging into this is the world truly is opening up to me. And I can see a pathway how every single one of you who are here on this call, on this training right now, and those eventually who will be watching this recording can absolutely fundamentally shift the way that they do this business. And I don't say that lightly. But again, this will be completely up to you. And again, even though I have this as a First Team Real Estate logo on here, this is not a recruiting event. Everybody is welcome. And don't worry, it's one of the few times that I will reference the company by name because I want this to be out in the agent community as a whole, because I believe that the more agents that are able to do this business better, the better we will all be. Because as a rising tide floats all ships, I'm a big believer in pouring into the agent community and all of that, which speaking of me and agent community, you may be wondering who the heck am I that's going to be yelling at you for a few minutes over here via Zoom, via recording. First of all, my name is Jacob Lawlor. I am considered a regional manager here at First Team Real Estate, really mainly the South Orange County region, mainly managing the Mission Viejo and San Clemente offices. Whoop, whoop, all the agents who are here, good to see you, right? But I want to share this with you right up front is I'm not a tech guru by any stretch, right? I'm a real estate growth coach. What that means is I'm going to be talking to you in the standpoint as a consumer of technology, not a developer. Does that make sense, you guys? So I'm going to be sharing with like practical use cases. So I'm not here because you need even more shiny objects. I think that it's safe to say that this business, right, this industry is filled with people selling you shiny objects. So what I'm here to really do is to help dispel all of that, to really share with you the way that I look at tech, because specifically today about AI is the filter that I use when I talk about things is, can this actually help you do more business, help more people, and make more money? Are we all on the same page with that, right? I'm not here again to sign you up for multiple different accounts and all that fun stuff. And let's get it rocking, because my job really as what I could consider more in the more leadership side of this industry is to really help you really ignore the noise. Because I don't know if you've ever heard of the phrase, if you want to get rich in real estate, sell things to real estate agents. Have you guys ever experienced that before? Everyone becomes your best friend and everybody justifies it with, if this just helps you get one more deal, you can sign up for 4 years of this program. So again, by the end of this, as full transparency, I'm not going to be asking you for any credit card payments. This is purely my gift to you guys. So hopefully you can get value out of today, because my real goal is to help you know what to learn, what to ignore, and what can actually help you produce. Cool? We all on the same page? Are we all here for the same reasons? Heck yeah. Excellent. Perfect. So one of the questions that I got right off the bat was, hey, Jacob, which tool do you prefer? Do you prefer ChatGPT? Do you prefer this? All of that fun stuff. I'm going to share with you right up front. I believe that's the wrong question. Which tool is best, right? That's like the same thing when agents say, well, which lead generation is the best? Is farming the best? Is open house the best? Is this the best? Is that the best? Whenever you get an opinion from someone else, understand that they're going to share with you what they believe their superpower is, right? Like, oh, I believe farming is the best. If you take a look at their business, where does most of their business come from? From farming, right? Another agent could say, I think open houses is the best, because that's where they get the primary source of their business. So what I'm going to say, right, is that the best tool is the one that you actually use consistently and skillfully. Right? Like, I still know agents who use spiral notebooks as their CRM, but you know what? They're selling 25, 30 houses a year. It's kind of like, you can't argue with that, right? So my argument is, regardless of which tool, which don't worry, we're going to go over them, including I'm going to share with you my actual tool stack, which I'm a little bit nervous because there are people in my personal life here that are going to know about everything that I've signed up for. And I apologize in advance. But we're going to get into that in just a second, because rather than focusing on the tool, because the tool matters and each tool has specialties. What matters more than the individual tool, whether it be Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini or Perplexity or insert whatever flavor of the day comes next, because they're coming out every freaking week, is the way you think about using AI matters way more. Because better prompts, which is really, if you guys want to know, like to boil it down, the secret of getting good at using AI is learning how to prompt, which is really learning how to communicate, which is really learning how to think clearly. I was blown away by how horrible I was at actually giving instruction until I started using AI. Because I would say, well, I want this, and it would give me that. I was like, well, no, no, that's not what I mean. But that's what I said. So AI can't infer what you mean, what your intention is. It can only go off of what you tell it. So better prompts, which means better outcomes, right? Comes from better prompts, but better prompts come from better thinking, right? Better outputs come from better context. That's an AI term for basically giving it more of what you are thinking about. It's to help get an insight into your mind. In AI language, they call that context, right? And then better results come from better systems, right? So the key is not just about which AI, because I know many people, and I know Terry LeClaire is on here right now. We were talking about the differences between Gemini and Perplexity, and like there's different things that one tool does that the other one does. But, just the same as getting really good at one basic tool can oftentimes beat the person who's a dabbler in all of them. Does that make sense? Right? I think Bruce Lee had a quote that said something like, I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times than the person who has practiced 10,000 kicks one time. Does that make sense? Like that's kind of the methodology with that. So those of you who are sitting here today or watching this recording, many of you have already watched a lot of training videos on AI. You've maybe followed a lot of AI creators. And one of the things that I fell into that trap in is the illusion that you know something. Meaning you may have heard some of these concepts that we're about to go into before, but you haven't acted on it. You may know of something, but you haven't yet done something. Because in all honesty, you guys, in going through hours upon hours of training videos online, and like when I'm at the gym, I put it on my headphones while I'm on the treadmill doing all that crazy stuff, is the only way to actually get good at using AI is to use AI. So if you have questions while you're in the moment, right? You can be watching this training in the background. You can pause me, fast forward, do all that fun stuff. But even better than watching this training class again and again is when you get stuck, ask the system how you should move forward, right? So if you don't know what to ask it what you should ask, meaning, hey, this is what outcome I'm looking for. What should I ask you to do in order to help me get there, right? This is the first piece of technology, you guys, that teaches you how to use it. This is what I'm so blown away with this new thing. This is why, again, when I started this whole item, which is this is helping me feel really excited because I can see the end goal, is this is the first time that when I don't know how to do something, I can ask the tool how to do it and it'll help me do it. Right? We were having a great manager meeting this morning, and we had a conversation how I forget who, I think it was Brad, the manager of our Irvine office, was saying, I hadn't even heard of this tool a week ago, and now as of today, I'm building full-fledged websites with it. It's like, it's the craziest scenario, right? So if you're getting output, like let's say that you ask, hey, ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, whatever, can you please redesign X, Y, and Z? And it comes out. You can then tell it, no, that's not what I meant. Can you tweak this? So if your output is weak, ask AI how to get a better output, right? And if you don't know what the questions are, ask the tool to clarify those details. And this is one thing I'm going to share with you. I'm going to speak to your souls right now as we're on here. I'm going to take away the screen share every so often because I kind of blank out if I stare at like a Zoom screen too long. I don't know if you guys are the same thing, right? When you're done, okay, let's say that you've done a prompt. Like let's say you asked a very typical thing, right? Very typical thing is to help it write a response to an email or create a listing description. Very what I will call entry level skills is when you finally get the result that you want. Like, hey, I want this, and then it gives you some generic stuff. Then you say, oh, no, no, I wanted it this, and then it tweaks it and it tweaks it. What I would encourage you to do is two things, is stay inside the tool longer. What I mean by that is it's very common for agents to ask for some, like let's say again, I'm just using listing descriptions as an example because that's usually where most agents start when it comes to using AI is help create my listing description. What they oftentimes do is they copy that listing description and then they paste it into a Word document or God forbid in the MLS itself, and then they start changing the wording. Does that make sense, guys? Am I speaking on the same language? I would rather you guys go into stay in the tool, ask it to clarify those details in the tool. No, no, can you make this sound a little bit more enthusiastic? No, can you add more about the communities? Da, da, da. When you're done, ask it to say, review all of the thread. What would have been the prompt that I would have had to have given you in order for you to give me this result the first time? Does that make sense? Meaning when you do all the critiques, right? I don't know if you guys have ever seen these people like who are giving you like these prompts and all that stuff, like things that I'm going to give you guys today. By the way, I'm going to give you guys what I'll call the prompt vault, right? Some of them are pretty complicated. Some of them are very simple. The way that most people come up with those long, crazy prompts is this is how they do it. Is they get the result that they finally want, then they ask the AI to say, hey, perfect, can you create for me what I would have said in order for you to have created this right from the get-go? What they call that in AI language is a system prompt. And I would encourage you guys to write that down. It's not on any slide. A system prompt is something that is basically a complicated language designed to get the outcome perfect the first time. So how you do that is you get the bad result. You then critique, staying in the tool, not copying and pasting it to a Word document and doing all your changes there. You get the result that you want, or at least 95% done, right? One of my favorite quotes by an AI guy, right, is he says, 80% done by someone else is 100% awesome. It's one of my favorite quotes, right? But that's exactly what that is, where it's like, hey, look, you can do the first 10%, which is the initial prompt telling it what you want. It does 80% of the work. And then you do the final 10% of tweaking. Does that make sense, guys? So I'm just trying to, put you all on the same thing, right? So that's just as a little bonus tip. But to what most people are asking me right now, or asking yourself that you want to know, what does my current AI stack personally look like? I use 8 different tools right now, all using different AI things. So I apologize, a wonderful wife of mine who is on the call right now. But number one is an AI transcriber called Granola. Granola is an AI note taker. So if you guys are having client meetings or doing things like that, this is a great way to record the fine details, right? Which that actually reminds me, I didn't even start mine on this, which hold on one second. I should probably start mine about today. That would have been more helpful. Perfect. All right. So this is my current AI stack. Number one is Granola. Granola is that AI note taker. It costs right around $15 a month. For me, it helps me remember small details that I constantly forget. I don't know about you. You can probably tell I'm a little bit ADHD mindset. I tend to forget a lot of stuff, meaning when I get into conversation, I'll get into what they call flow state and have no idea, no recollection about what happened. It's a personality flaw, but luckily I have a tool to help me. Number two is ChatGPT, which is what I personally started with, like most people, right? ChatGPT really got released like the end of 2022 and kind of like the GPT-3 version that was kind of like most people's entry into AI. I still utilize ChatGPT, and I previously discontinued my ChatGPT Pro account, which is $20 a month, but I find myself continually going back to it. So I'm actually thinking about considering re-upping that because of how many times I go back to it. Mainly, number one, for strategy. I have found that ChatGPT does really well for brainstorming ideas, strategizing, kind of thinking through complex ideas. Also, just as of really like last week or maybe even 2 weeks ago, they fully revamped their image generation. For example, up until then, Gemini was really the leader in image generation using a little tool called Nano Banana, right? That's kind of a funny name for a tool, but it produced incredible images up until about last week or so. ChatGPT, when they released Images 2.0, they have really upped the game. It's one of my favorite ones that I go to. A lot of the items on social media that I posted for this event were created in ChatGPT Images 2.0. So by the way, if we're not connected on social media, what the heck are we doing? Please feel free, connect with me, just at Jacob Lawlor. There you go. Right. And then also like daily problem solving. When I want things done pretty quick, I tend to resort to go into ChatGPT. I think a lot of that has to do with just my familiarity with that. The next one is something called Gamma. Gamma is really a presentation builder. It's what I personally built this presentation on. It's one of my favorite things to do. Combine ChatGPT's strategy and kind of thinking through process and feeding that into Gamma to create actual presentations. Gamma is about 20 bucks a month, maybe 25 bucks a month, full transparency, I don't recall. The new thing that I have really transitioned towards is more going into Claude. Claude is like ChatGPT. It's actually like the interface is pretty much set up almost identical to ChatGPT. It is superior in natural sounding writing. Also doing deeper analysis, but also the true power that I'm finding with Claude is paying the $20 a month to get the Claude Pro account, because that gives you access to my favorite feature, which is something called Claude Cowork. There's additional things where it can actually do things on your computer, meaning it can actually control things on your computer, whether it be creating folders, organizing, all of that. We're going to give you a little taste of it at the very end. Right, but that's what I use Claude for, is to do that. Lovable, which sounds like a weird dating app, but Lovable is lovable.dev. What it is it creates full-fledged websites, and it does it in minutes. Something that I've been trying to do for years, I was able to do in minutes. And if you guys want to see an example of it, feel free, go to jacoblawlor.com, just my first and last name.com. And that is something I legitimately built start to finish within a 2-hour Zoom meeting that I had with somebody else. That full transparency, I haven't let them know that while we were in a meeting, I was doing something else. But that's what I built during that 2-hour session. I had it up and running and connected to my own personal URL. And it was incredible. For $25 a month, I have, I believe, an infinite number of custom websites that I can build. Super cool. But I started by doing everything for free. So all of these systems, just so you guys are all aware, all have free options. So start with things that are for free and then see what you get limited by and then build from there, right? Gemini is a system that is a Google-based system. This is really good and is my favorite thing for doing what's called deep research, meaning I'm going to share with you a strategy about how to pull incredible insights that you can on day one have as much knowledge as of an area as another person who's been working in that same area for 10, 20 years, where right now I'm going to make a bold statement that intelligence and knowledge is no longer a differentiator in today's market, that you can, as a brand new agent or being in a brand new area, know just as much as somebody else who's been working in that area for about 20 years. That's a bold statement, but I'm going to show you an example, right? Also, Notebook LM, it is phenomenal for doing what's called deep learning. This is where you can actually have what's called a confined context window. What that means is most of these chat bots, right, go and search the web for information. So you can get information pulled from all different types of sources, and you might not know, are they a valid source or not? This is something that you can define. I only want you to search through this. For example, let's say that you're taking an online course. Like, this is big for students and it's changing the way that like learning is done. Students in college or high school or whatnot can upload their entire textbook into this system, and you can ask it questions and it will pull the information only from that textbook. Meaning, if you're taking tests, and they're probably going to create like software that tests for this now, is you can get textbook answers to questions just by chatting with it. You can build flashcards within seconds to help you learn. I'm telling you, Notebook LM is revolutionizing the way learning is done. The really cool thing is both Gemini and Notebook LM, for those of us who are first team agents, First Team gives that to you, the pro account, which saves you $20 a month for each one. So that's a $40 a month saving because First Team provides that for you. Again, just because we're trying to be AI first and giving that to all of our agents. So if you don't know that, log in with your firstteam.com email address and you automatically will grant access to the pro account. So I'm a big believer in that. And then believe it or not, Canva. If you didn't know, Canva actually has a big AI system in the back end of it. I love using it for image editing. Anytime that I need to do it, because I don't know if you know this, but on the bottom right-hand corner of any image that you generate in Gemini, it'll automatically have like the little Gemini logo put on that bottom corner, and you can use Canva and you can just highlight it and say, just delete that, and it'll get rid of it and it'll blend in. It's really cool. Anyway, so this is my personal tech stack that I personally utilize on a daily, weekly basis. Start with one. Right? My personal recommendation with starting with one is to choose either ChatGPT or Claude to get started, right? Both of those are phenomenal wide range products. And as you fit through the remainder of this training, you may figure out that you might want one over the other. Claude, again, its real strong point is language and making things sound non-AI. ChatGPT is really good on strategy. It's my favorite way of kind of doing complex things. But again, totally up to you. Start with wherever you are. So the issue, and really the grand scheme, is that the issue isn't AI, right? And how to use it. The issue is inconsistency. How many of us right now would be willing to admit we don't market as consistently as we would like to? Anybody willing to admit that? Right? I see a couple hands up. The rest of you are probably lying. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Right? How many are willing to admit that you don't follow up with your people as much and as consistently as you should? Right? Thank you, Julie, putting your hand up. I appreciate you. Nora, I appreciate you. Christine, I appreciate you. By the way, you guys, sometimes I don't know if I'm just boring you guys to tears if you don't respond, or if I'm like you just have rapt attention. I don't know. So I appreciate the engagement on there. I just want to make sure I'm not talking into the void. So I appreciate you. Right. Also, preparation. And this is one thing that I'm going to share with you, and I'm going to speak to your soul here for just a moment. Preparation for your appointments. This is one thing that I am incredibly enthusiastic and emphatic about, is I think we as agents do a very poor job placing the value on our appointments that they deserve. What do I mean by that? Meaning every time you get a listing appointment, right? How many of us might be willing to admit to ourselves, you don't have to raise your hand and put yourself on blast, don't worry, that maybe you don't do as good of preparation as you really should? Meaning, this appointment, the listing appointment, will be the difference between the seller hiring you or not. Meaning, let's say our average price point, like across the company, is a little north of like $1.1 million, right? Cross, right? On average, let's say anywhere between 2 to 3%, because I can't say, talk with your manager about what's the right thing for you in your market, right? But let's say on average between 2 to 3%. At a low end, that would be $22,000 on average that a seller would be paying you to convince them that you're the right fit. Or on the higher side, if you're doing 3%, let's say for the sake of discussion, right? That's $33,000. I want you to ask yourself right now, when was the last time that you yourself paid somebody, wrote them a check for $22,000 to $33,000? And I want you to think about that for a second. And then I want you to ask, okay, when you wrote that check, what did you get in return for that? Oftentimes, it's people who got like a remodel in their bathroom. They got like tangible things, right? When was the last time that you paid somebody $22,000, $33,000? And then think, if you did, what is your expectation? Because oftentimes it's easy to say that's what I deserve, but then think about what is your expectation. To think to yourself, from the preparation that you have been doing, was that worth 22 or $33,000? I'm not saying it is or isn't. I'm just saying it's a thought process, right? So everything we're about to go through right now is going to be a production-based training. So we're not here just to chase trends or what sounds really cool on other webinars or other things. This is about how to generate more business, to close more transactions, and most importantly for me, how to help more people. So this is the way that I will organize the remainder of today's session, is that realistically, there are 3 levels of AI. And I say for real estate agents, but it's really in generalities, right? Number 1 is using AI for answers. This is where the majority of people stop. Most people use AI like ChatGPT, Claude, whatever, as glorified Google searches. It's you ask it a specific question like you would a Google search, where it's like, hey, how much, how many grams are in 1 pound of whatever, and it's like it sends you like a complicated. Most people do that. It's like just the same as, hey, please write me a real estate description for 123 Main Street that I can add to the MLS. That's an example of basically a glorified Google search, right? You ask it, it responds, it thinks, it writes, it does research, it does planning, it can even do role play. Like, I still consider that much more of like an answers base. The analogy that it's explained to me is that's like riding a skateboard, meaning it's better than walking, meaning doing it manually by yourself, but you still push. You're still doing all the pushing. It will coast. You'll get there faster, but you're still going to get tired. You're still going to feel a little bit overwhelmed. And then oftentimes when people who are stuck in this trap, you usually start having a ton of new documents. Like, have any of you here, right? Have any of you here started exploring with AI and starting to create documents, and all of a sudden now your downloads folder is filled with like 30 different documents, all of similar things but different revisions? That's a very common trend with people using AI in this level 1. And so we're gonna share with you how to do this better. But then today, I'm going to also share with you how you can take the next stage, which is automations. And this is truly where your life will begin to change, because automating the repetitive tasks can absolutely take off a large strain from the day-to-day work and allow you to do the deeper work that you get more value out of. Meaning, trigger-based workflows, meaning when something happens, something else happens. Like, you do one thing and then it splinters off everywhere. Really, one of the pioneers to the automation platforms was a tool called Zapier. I'm sure most of you have heard of that tool called Zapier. That was really a big revolutionary product that connected tools together. Now we can do it on a much more intricate level and have multiple steps that are done way, way smoother. And we're going to talk about that. And the analogy that it was explained to me is like, that's like riding an electric scooter, right? You just point the scooter in the right direction, and then the motor moves you, the automations move you, but you still choose the route. You still say, I want you to do this, then you do that. Any of you who have ever tried to set up Zapier before, or other programs called like make.com or anything, you still have to map out the workflow. And if there are mistakes anywhere in that, the whole thing shuts off. And this is where people get overwhelmed really quickly. And like same thing with like CRMs and automated systems where, oh my goodness, like you forgot that you didn't say trigger this, then that, and there's one chink in the chain, everything's screwed up. Where level 3 is where you become like those multi-million-dollar 19-year-olds. Like, this is where the millionaires of tomorrow are getting created, are people who create agents. Now, that doesn't mean real estate agents. That means actual technological people that get created, that do the planning, that create the system, that implement the workflow, that check to see if it approved the outcome that you wanted, and then creates a reinforcement and patches things and everything. That's where the future is going. I'm going to be fully transparent. We're not going to go over that today. because we're really going to intro you guys to level 2 today, because that's where I think you'll make the biggest difference. And full transparency, I haven't gotten here yet, because remember how I started everything at the beginning is that I'm not a tech guru. I'm a real estate growth coach, and I can share with you to the levels that I've gotten to. But if you want an insight into a tool that can help you do it, I would encourage you to investigate a tool called Manus. That's Manus, Manus. That is an example of an agentic system that can actually do things for you. So most people are barely scratching the surface on that. I kind of really draft that. But let's start with the actual tactical things, right? Level 1, let's get into it, how to do that better, because that's where I think everybody needs to start. This is where you're going to really start getting used to using the interfaces, right? Using ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, Perplexity. They will all do the majority of the things through this level 1 answers. You type it in, it will give you a response, right? So this, if you learn to do it well, this alone can totally change your business. This is where you can get strategy, brainstorming, writing. This is where we're going to really start getting tactical for you. So what most agents do is tell the AI what you want it to write and then immediately have it send out. Like write me a real estate description for 123 Main Street. Versus what a professional in level 1 will do will be to generate a full context and then let it write. Now, I'm going to give you guys personally a real world example that we did today at our manager meeting, right? So at the manager meeting, somebody said, "Hey, can you share with me the prompt that you wrote that built your website?" Cool. Like, do you guys want to know like word for word what I typed into so I'll show you as an example. I'll show you the website itself, which again, just as an example, I'm not saying like this is the thing. So here is my personal website that I created in legitimately 2 hours. This is jacoblawlor.com. Feel free if you guys will check it out yourself, do your thing, right? So this is my workflow, right? This is with all the details about the company, about my way of looking at it, how like partnering with me and the company works, all of that, as well as the way that I think through the real estate business, as well as like it has those like reactive numbers in there, all of these fun stuff. I'm not going to go through it because again, this isn't a recruiting seminar. I just want to show you this is what I built, including a link to my Calendly to set an appointment, right? So if you want to know word for word what I prompted AI to do to create this, I'll share with you. This was legitimately my one prompt. My one prompt was using the source files, create a lovable prompt. Lovable is the tool that I use to build it, to create a recruiting style website that is designed to pre-sell potential recruits on me and First Team. Have the aesthetic follow the First Team brand guidelines. And then it gave me all of this. How in human existence could me writing 3 lines and 1 sentence create this? That's what I mean by giving it full context. So if you want a quick pro tip for getting good results with using ChatGPT, Claude, or anything like that, this was the number 1 change that changed for me, was not just using the new chat feature and then starting from scratch. I would highly encourage you, if you guys are going to be doing a larger scale project like building a website, right? Or creating your social media campaign or creating an automated series of emails, I would encourage you to use this feature on the left-hand side called Projects. Projects allows you to have all of what is called the context that you want on every single one of your chats. So that way you don't have to keep telling and reintroducing yourself to ChatGPT or Claude or anything like that. And I'm gonna speak to your soul for just a second. The number 1 reason why you get bad responses from ChatGPT or Claude, like has anyone done that before? Like you've said, "Hey, write me a social media post," and you're like, "Dude, I don't ever say that. Like I would never use that many emojis. Like I'm not a big emoji person. I'll maybe do 1 when I don't want to type or anything like that." Christina, I appreciate you, right? So when you do that and you get the garbage out, it's because you haven't introduced yourself to the tool. So what I've created, right, and this is my long-term homework assignment for you guys that I'm going to give you, is to go through an introduction process with your tool. And don't worry, I'm going to give you literally copy and paste prompts on how exactly to do that. But what I created was a tool, and my tool, sorry, it was a project, and my custom recruiting presentation that I put together had these source files, like my company's brand images, a list of all the tools that the company has. Like for me, what I talk about when I'm on a meeting with an agent, so that way it knows to build something that I actually say, because I don't want to create something that when you read it and then we meet, it's totally different, right? As well as what I give to people before we get together, right? I put together a what's called a context document about why an agent should join the company, right? I put together our actual recruiting presentation to know what it has. I put my favorite top 10 stats about the company that I like to use. I gave them my what I call brand brochure, and then I put together a document about what it means to be with both me and the company. So what I did is I gave it all of this. Again, this is called context. So that way, when I asked it a very simple question of, hey, can you please create this website that is designed to do this? It then says, cool, I'm going to accomplish this, but I'm going to make sure that I also accomplish all of the things that you talked about. Now, before I move on, because this is a big, if you can understand this, it will completely revolutionize how you use AI. So I don't want to move on unless you guys are like, we're all, any questions on just that by itself, on the projects feature. First of all, is this new information to anyone?
I got a quick question.
Absolutely, Sean.
When you're doing the project, you didn't reference in your description to go to the project. So can you upload things about yourself, your company, and it'll just know to go there?
Great question. So, very important. Thank you for clarifying, right? Very important. How it works is when you're in the project itself, do you see, right, that I'm typing it here, new chat in custom recruiting presentation. I'm not in the project, then going to a new chat up in the top left. This means just a regular chat, like all these things on the side. These are all of my chats that I did before I learned how to use projects. Like this is everything, right? This is holy crap, all the fun stuff that I've done, oh my goodness, right? But then I started learning, oh my goodness, if I put everything in a nice organized folder, then every chat that I have, it will reference all of these files. And then when I create a new chat just outside, it doesn't. So this is how you can run, like for Sean, for you, right? Because you run a big team, right? You're very successful. Congrats. You should have your your messaging to your agents or potential agents to join your team in a separate project than working with clients. Does that make sense? Because you're going to have different ways of talking to clients than you'll have similar ways, but you'll have nuance. Does that make sense? So what you'll want to do is you'll want to bucket it in a different project so it stays completely separate. That way it doesn't because like Claude, ChatGPT, all those things, like it has what's called memory. And I'll never forget, like I asked it a business question. This is like months and months and months and months ago when I was exclusively using ChatGPT, right? I asked it a business question, and then it started referencing my kids. And I was like, what the hell? Like, why are you even like, why are my kids involved in this at all? And it was because it was pulling from the general memory as opposed to that local Does that make sense, guys? Like, again, if you understand this one concept, for example, you're about to go on a listing presentation. I would encourage you to have one project for each one of your listings, right? Because you don't want the next listing presentation that you go on with the next one to pull in like the CMA you did for 123 Main Street. And does that make sense to you guys? Like it's just how you don't cross contaminate your stuff. If you get one thing from working with level one of answers, projects was the biggest unlock for me. Questions on that, and I'll give you guys tactical stuff with it. But I wanted to at least speak like at the high level first before we get into that, right? So here's some practical things that I highly recommend doing in terms of how you get some of these documents. The very first step I would recommend you start with is using your chatbot, whichever one you use, Claude, Gemini, ChatGPT, whatever, choose one. They all do the same thing, just different ways, right? Is introducing yourself. So here is an example prompt that you can use. Again, you will all get these recordings. You will actually also get these exact slides. But not only that, I'm going to share with you something really cool that I put together for you. For those of you who are here, okay, you're also going to get something I put together called the prompt vault. Okay. And this will have 35 different prompts in order for you to be able to create every single thing I talk about today. Is that cool? So again, thank you for being here, right? Thank you for registering. But again, legitimately, brand voice interview. Here's an example. I want you to help me clarify my brand voice. So by example, what I would personally do is to create a project, okay? Call the project brand voice or something to that effect, right? Or about me, like call it whatever you want. But within that project, create a chat and to say, I want you to help me clarify my brand voice as a real estate agent, right? Start by interviewing me one question at a time until you understand my tone, ideal audience, communication style, local market experience, differentiators, values, content theme, blah, blah, blah. Don't write anything yet. Ask me one question at a time. Once you have enough information, organize my answers into a polished brand voice summary I can reuse for future marketing. Do not make anything up. Do not add any ideas that aren't mine. Why do I add that in there? Understand that AI has a tendency to, in AI language, it calls hallucinate, right? This is why if you've ever just done a generic prompt, please write me a real estate property description for 123 Main Street for me to add to the MLS. It will just make up details about 123 Main Street. It'll say 123 Main Street is a beautiful 4-bedroom, 3-bath single family home on a cul-de-sac. And you're like, what the shit? It's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath condo. There's like, what are you talking about? It's because it's what's called hallucinates, right? So you put that in there as an example, right? So this allows you to start giving it information. And this is really important. I don't know about you, but I type horrendously and it takes me a long time. Is anyone else like me that like I'm pretty good at talking, right? I'm not pretty good at talking, but I talk faster. I always get told all the time, they say, Jacob, slow down, right? You probably all saying that too. Jacob, slow down, right? Take a breath, grab a drink of water. So I talk way faster than I type. One tool I did not share with you, right? I'm sorry, wife, my wonderful wife, Jessica, right? That I did not tell you that I have is something that I highly encourage you if you're going to go through this process, at least sign up for it during this stage while you're talking a lot. And it's called Whisper Flow. Whisper Flow is a tool that you can hit a button and talk. And what it will do is it will have a way of transcribing what you say. But what makes Whisper Flow better than your generic, well, because you can go into ChatGPT, Claude, all those, and there is a dictation feature. It gets a lot of things wrong, right? It misspells, it mishears, all of that stuff. Cool, Sean, I love that you already use that too. It's an incredible product. And what I love about it for writing purposes is it also automatically formats things. Like if you ever have like your Apple iPhone and you have to say period, comma, exclamation point. It infers your language and it automatically adds it in. So you literally just have a stream of consciousness. So how I built these is I literally spent hours downstairs at my house in the office to try not to wake everybody up at like 5 in the morning. And I would legit hit the button and I would be looking up in the ceiling, like thinking, and I'd be like, okay, so this is what I want to do. I believe in this. This is what matters to me. Because I don't know if you guys have ever had, for me, I gain clarity through communication. Sometimes as I talk it out, it really helps clarify my thoughts. And this allows you to capture that because for some reason for me, because I probably have something diagnosable that I haven't gone to the doctor yet, is there's a disconnect between me thinking it and me typing it. I don't know if I'm the only one that has that, right? Anyway, again, probably something diagnosable. That's a whole different topic, right? Again, so if you use a tool like Whisperflow, which by the way, I will share with you, this is my Whisperflow account. I have used 25,000 words dictated, and it says, like, I saw another one that it said, like, I've written 2 college dissertations worth of worth of stuff. But it says, even on here, probably has it here, right? 2 college essays, 2 college essays worth of things. But it says here, look at this, 86% of that is doing prompting, meaning I'm using this for the primary thought of like clarifying what it is that I do. I'm telling you, this to me unlocked this major thing to be able to do this. Because again, trying to do this finger poking did not work. So again, step number 1, projects, keeps everything contained, right? Step number 2, build your brand voice by asking it questions. Step number 3, use a tool like Whisperflow or whatever you want, do the dictation, to then allow yourself to not be limited by your fingers. Cool? So, for example, I will show you guys what it has helped me build. Cool? Would that be helpful to kind of see an example of what it is? So I have in my system an entire document. Don't worry, I'll try to zoom in on this, by the way, you guys. An entire document set called About Me. Okay? So I have an entire folder that's all about me. So the first one is just like the About Me, which is like, what do I do? Right? Which this is in like a text file, and I know it's gonna be super tiny. I don't know how to like zoom in on this. So it's like my name, I'm Jacob Lawlor. I work with First Team Real Estate. It's an independently owned and operated brokerage in Southern California. What's my title? Regional branch manager. So this is an example of like a basic like about you, right? When I got my license, who I work with, all, like this is again, my communication style. I'm direct, I'm confident, I'm warm but not soft. I use plain English, meaning I don't try to use like technical jargon, right? I never use M dashes. By the way, the easiest way to know if something was written in ChatGPT is if there's a lot of M dashes. Those are those like 2 little lines, right? All the time. So I say I never use those, even though I personally do. And this is the hard thing, is before ChatGPT came out, I used M dashes all the time. So now I have like this hypersensitivity because like I used to use it, and then now again. So anyway, so again, this is an example of About Me, right? But I also have my brand voice, right? This is a little bit deeper into what I believe and how I communicate, right? So again, I've built these because I would build one and then I noticed that it wasn't enough. And then I would say, you know what? I actually want to build that. And then I want to do this, right? I even have one that goes over my goals because I want my chat bot. And this is the difference. Remember how I said the tool is important, but the way of thinking matters more? Because I can switch, right? I can switch from Claude to ChatGPT and get the pretty much the same outputs. Why? Because I give it the documents so that way, like I can go into a brand new tool. Like there will probably be an even better tool next month that gets created. I can take that brand new tool and have it instantly know everything about me. Does that make sense? Is anyone kind of freaked out about it? Get over it. Like, let's be honest, you guys. Like, dude, like Palantir, like we're gonna probably get like crazy drone bomb from like who, like you're being tracked every minute of the day. So don't think like anything is secret anymore. Like everybody knows everything about you. I just want to get results from it. Is that fair? Like that's kind of my thing, right? So again, I'm a realist. I'm not an optimist. I'm like, hey, what's actually happening? So this is an example, right? It even has my exact agent approach. Like when I meet with an agent, when I start coaching an agent, how do I systematically build their business? And this is one of the big ones when I built that website, that it knows exactly what to say I do because I tell it in exact detail. Cool? And again, that's how I did it. And how I do that is I ask it to ask me. So I will say, hey, I want you to help clarify my goals. right? Instead of brand voice, I want you to help me go over my goals, right? Start by asking me one, and this is the key, one question at a time. Because if you don't, then it's going to ask you it's going to have a list. Hey, please fill out this form. I'm not going to fill out a friggin' form. Ask me one at a time. I'll give you all the answers you want, but you got to give me one answer at a time. I'm going to get whisper flow. I'm going to just word vomit all over the place. And I'm going to say, make sense of that, Mr. or Mrs. Chatbot. But that's what it does really well. What chatbots do incredibly well is making sense of a lot of information. And I think most of our problems, and in talking with agents, the majority of the problems we have is not the fact that we don't know what to do. It's that there are so many things to do, so many tools you can use, so many options, you don't know which one you should use. Is that fair enough, guys? Right? It's not that you have two less tools, right? So this helps me say, this is what I believe. Based upon this, can you just kind of clarify? And the one thing I can say that I have gained that has given me the most conviction with doing this is clarity. I used to be confused and torn. Now I have absolute clarity of exactly where I want to go, exactly who I want to help, and exactly how I want to get there. And that's a very powerful feeling. And truthfully, it just came because I was willing to ask the chatbot stupid questions and look like a weirdo in my office. Anyway, so then once you have your brand voice, which again, I encourage you guys, don't just go through this in like 10 minutes because you want to get on to the next thing. This has taken me days, if not weeks, to clarify, refine, because I will say, well, that kind of came out weird. Like, can you critique? I don't say it like that. I say it like this. Again, this is the power, is getting it done. Because having it 75% there and then you start using it, then you're going to base all of your documents off of things that are 70% you. Make sense? Because then when you have it done, then the very next step that I want you guys to do, because most of us, and I can speak for myself, is I am notoriously inconsistent at branding and marketing and advertising and doing self-promotion. I encourage you to have some sort of what I will call a 30-day marketing calendar, which so that way it makes it so that way putting out promotional marketing, whatever that looks like. I'm going to talk more about like social media because that's generally where most people start, right? So this is an example of how you can do it. And I've also in your handouts, right, given exactly the prompt that I personally used to put together my personal branding calendar. So as an example, I want to share with you what my branding calendar looks like. Okay? This is an example. And you may say, holy crap, Jacob, like this is a lot. What the hell do you do with this? Cool, check this out. This is how I'm able to have my marketing for the day done before 6 a.m. How do I do that? All I do is I go on the treadmill at the gym, full transparency. I usually wake up sometime between like 4:30 and 5 in the morning. I will then go to the gym and I will usually warm up for 20 minutes on the treadmill because I'm getting older, my joints hurt, and holy crap, I never thought I would have to be that guy who warms up for 20 minutes on the treadmill because he doesn't want to pull something. So while I'm on that 20 minutes, what I do, I legitimately will go here. It says, hold on, I'll zoom in so you guys can read this. Time to write, let's go down to like another one, not number one, right? Time to write content piece number 4 for the brand launch campaign. Well, how the hell does Claude know what my number 4 is? Why? Because if you go into my Claude account, guess what I have? I have something called, you guessed it, a project in Claude that's legitimately called brand launch campaign. And in my brand launch campaign, I have my 30-day content calendar right here. So all I say is, hey, it's time for me to do number 4. Before you write, ask me, did anything happen this week in the market with an agent or in a coaching session that connects to the topic? Like, hey, by the way, we're going to write a topic on 5 open houses in 30 days. Here's what happened. By the way, did you meet with an agent, talk with an agent about open houses at all? That way you can use a relevant, timely story that really happened to connect with the way that my brand voice would talk about the importance of doing 5 open houses in 30 days. Does that make sense, guys? Like, this is an example. It takes the context, in my Claude account that it knows what pieces I'm supposed to make. It knows about me, my brand voice, what my mission is. And I even had it give what's called writing rules. What the hell is writing rules? You ever know, like, there's certain things that AI says all the time, right? Like, there's things like you can see it and you're like, oh, that's written by AI. I went to a service, right? I think it was like Gemini or somebody, and I said, hey, create me a research report of all of the things that AI generally looks like. Because there's like systems now that like check to see if something was written by AI. And I said, now create an anti-AI writing report and label that writing rule. So now it says, okay, here's how you sound, but here's how to make it not look like I'm AI. Does that make sense, guys? Like, I'm like, again, does this take time? Yes. But imagine I'm on the treadmill walking, half asleep, coffee hasn't kicked in yet. All I do is I copy and I paste, and then it says, hey, did anything happen? And then I'm thinking, and then I'll put on dictation. I'm that weird guy on the treadmill that's talking to himself. I'm like, yeah, I met with an agent. I did this, I did that, and da da da. Then it says, hey, here's your post. Cool? That's literally it. So if you want simplicity, because here's what generally happens is you have this like I know a lot of people, you guys, who will get to this point and they'll develop that 30-day calendar, but then guess what happens? Has anyone ever done that before? Like you put together a 30-day calendar, but then what ends up happening? You don't use it. Why? Because you have what you're supposed to talk about, but now you're like, shit, what? I don't know what to say about this. So if you have something like this, where I don't have to think, I had it tell me part of that calendar is not just what the topic is, but what prompt I need to give you to write that piece. Like that's the extra piece that unlocked for me and has made it so that it's not a challenge for me. Do I still miss? Of course, nobody's perfect. But for me, it at least alleviates that uncertain because I don't know about you. I open up a Word document, there's the blinking cursor with a blank screen. I have no freaking idea. Is this way too fast for you guys? Are we on the same page? Be honest, because I'm gonna keep going.
Do you do that with whisper flow on a
So,
treadmill?
so me, no. The reason why is I don't, this is a Jacob Lawlor personal statement. I don't like the interface of Whisper Flow on the phone. It has a phone app. It creates a custom like new keyboard. I just don't like the functionality. So I tend to literally do speak to text. Or if there's like people on like sometimes the gym's like super packed, like I'll just type it out. It sucks, but sometimes I'll do it, right? But yeah, but Whisperflow does have an app that you can add. It adds a keyboard to your thing, and I personally just don't like the functionality. Cool. Let's keep it rolling, y'all. So, you know what I'm gonna do actually first? Let's do actually. I'm gonna pause on this, and I'm gonna go to this because this is really cool. This is something called hyper. You know what? I'll go to this and then we'll go back to that. Sorry, I was debating. So listing appointment prep. Remember how I said that most of the time I have a belief that we undervalue and under prepare for these appointments. God forbid we have some computer paper, we print it out. Hopefully you guys are using the first team pre-listing packages if you are part of the company, right, where we have it all put together. But again, sometimes I think we undervalue that and we don't actually fully connect with those people. So here's as an example prompt. Again, what I would do, go into ChatGPT, Claude, whichever one you're using, and create a project for that address. And what I personally would recommend doing, okay, is whatever items you usually bring, okay, get PDF versions of those, okay, and then add that to the listing presentation project context. So that way it can reference what you talk about at the listing presentation, whether that's your company's right listing presentation PDF, whether you have a customized version of it, anything that you generally talk about on the marketing side, you can do that. But then you're going to feed in your CMA, right? Because hopefully you guys are bringing some sort of a CMA. Add that as the source, right? So again, just as I'll show you guys like click by click, like how you do that, right? So I did an example one for this. Okay. I did 10 Springview Way listing presentation. And in the source files, I added the PDF version of our company listing presentation. I also created one, and by the way, for first team agents, I'm going to be posting this in First Place. I created using AI, using multiple different presentations that we have from LPI, from different stats and metrics, from the media kit, all of this, to create one unified document of why a seller should list with First Team across all of our presentations. And I compiled this into one document and I added that document, right? I then added the MLS printout from the prior time that it sold. So that way it has context of bedroom count, bathroom count, size. Also, like what I included the photos so it could at least digest the photos. And then I included something that I'm going to share with you. And this is something that I called the Gemini report for the city that it was in. Okay. And what this is I went into Gemini. Why? Because the company gives us Gemini Pro, right? And I asked it to create me what's called, I would encourage you to write this down. It's called sorry, hold on. There's different functionalities with Gemini. The reason why I like Gemini, it is the best that I have personally found to do what is called deep research, where it sources multiple different things. My wife and I were talking about this actually, that we said like, hey, I remember like in elementary school when we would have to like, or like middle school, I don't remember what it was, where we would have to like cite our sources, right? And we would have, and we're like, dude, it was crazy where we had to have like, it was crazy to get 5 sources, like you had to go, oh, I go from this almanac and then this, Britannica, whatever the hell it is, right? Where what this does is this goes through, I forgot exactly the number, but I believe it went and it has, oh, let me actually see down at the bottom. Look at all of these sources used in this report. What is that? Like sources read, but not used in the report. It read through another probably, let's call this 30 that it used and another 30 it didn't use. So it went through 60 different sources and it checks to see, okay, what's contradictory information, what's the winner? Cool. And then it built this report. I'll show you, for example, what the report turned out. The report turned out to be a 24-page deep dive into the community, into the CMA that we used, into all of these details to say what the schools are, what the community ratings are, what parks are nearby, what trails are nearby. And I uploaded that huge document of 23, or sorry, I guess it's 15 pages. I guess another one I did was 23 pages. Sorry. A 15-page deep dive document into all of the details about what makes this community special. Cool. And I said, based upon that, right? Based upon all of this information, I want you to do something for me. Cool. So that's an example of you can take all of that and say, hey, act as a top producing Southern California listing strategist. I have a listing appointment coming up and I want to prepare at a high level, review all this information. You guys get the point, right? And basically to create this listing presentation process. Now, this automatically can set yourself above, truly, you guys, like 90% of real estate agents. Because then you can say, hey, craft me a narrative to talk about pricing, craft me a narrative to do whatever. For those of us here that are first team, I'm going to share with you guys something special that I can do. Sorry for those of you who aren't, I can't give this to you because it has actually our listing presentation and everything built into it. But one of the really cool things that I'm going to be posting in First Place, that you guys will have access to all this, is how I took this information and I asked it this question. Okay. To create for me a website. I wanted to build my own website for this. So imagine next time you go in your listing presentation, you can take all of this information and you can build something like this. So this is something that took between the Gemini report, which probably took a good 10 minutes for it to go through everything. And then it took Lovable, I want to say about 20 minutes to develop this website. So let's say in 30 minutes, I now have a full-fledged website for the property that it's specifically designed to go to them because I gave it the information. It then talked about the property by itself. What are the standout features, right? That has 3-car garage, which is not common in that area. It has a 7,000 square foot corner lot, which is not common in that area, right? Right? How you would position it. So that what strategic things makes that property stand out that you're going to highlight, right? Why are people drawn to Las Flores, right? By going through that Gemini research, why do people want to move there? What things are nearby? What schools are there? All of those fun stuff, right? What are the people most likely to respond to about the home, right? What things about this particular property? It goes through your CMA that you put in and it summarizes everything. It puts together a recommended strategy that it asks for. So I put these numbers in there, right? What marketing plan based upon your listing presentation that you added? It says the timeline on how you can do that. And then look at this. It even included the actual listing presentation that they can flip through. Okay. It then says, okay, cool. Do you want to actually see the market evaluation? Because you guys all know that you can get the Cloud CMA PDF. You can click here and guess what? It downloads to their computer. So that way they can actually view the market analysis as a PDF. Or if they're so inclined, they can actually go onto the live link to look at all the photos. And then next steps. And then you can call you, email you, but you're going to probably be meeting with them anyway. And then it has all of your details. Like this is technically in the Wingate tract of Las Flores. So it knew that. Why? Because I gave it all the context from the research report. Does that make sense? So imagine being able to walk into a listing appointment with their own custom website devoted to their product or to their property with all of the details. How many other agents do you think are doing that right now? Bro, anyone else think this is insane?
Yes.
It took me 30 minutes. You see what I mean by there's a difference between just printing out computer paper on your office printer, showing up with your like 2-pocket folder saying we're number one, like everybody does. Anyway, so that's an example of how you can have a pre-listing process and all that fun stuff, right? Any questions on, I know that like, that was like crazy, but if you guys have sorry, Zainab, how are you? Good to see you.
Hey, hi Jacob. I'm sorry, I must have missed it. So the website that you're just showing us right now, how is it being hosted? Or I
Yeah,
must
so
have missed that part.
this is a service called lovable.dev, and you can build 5 of these websites completely for free.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Cool. So hopefully by the time doing 5 of these, do you think you guys might make enough commission to afford $25 a month to do more? Hopefully. We'll see. Right? Anyway. So as an example, if you guys have questions of like the tactical things, again, I can only give this to first team agents only because it has our actual listing documents in there. But what I did for you guys in your handouts that I'm going to put on first place, full transparency, right, is I'll show you exactly what it is. I apologize. I will pull this up right now. I built a separate document that I will be posting on first place. That is the AI listing presentation system that is legitimately copy and paste, go into Gemini, type this in. So you will just copy this and then paste it into Gemini. Then Gemini is going to give you the report. Then you're going to go to that, you're going to get that report, upload it into whichever one you want to do, right? Whether it be Claude, ChatGPT, whatever, and then ask it to create a prompt to then give to Lovable. And then Lovable will then build the website for you. And it'll already have everything hyperlinked in there. The only thing that you will need to do would be to supply the actual CMA and the Gemini thing that you created using those prompts. Is that cool? Is that pretty, like, for me, when I was doing this, it freaking blew my mind. Am I the only one that's like really excited about that? Yeah? Cool. Awesome. Thank you for those of you participating in there, right? Now, if you're like, hey, Jacob, I don't work with a lot of sellers right now. I have more buyers that I'm working with. Cool. This one will be great for you. Okay. If you guys work more with buyers, here's the next one. Hyper local authority and or relocation guide information. Meaning, have you guys ever had clients that were debating certain cities? We're debating, like in Sean, like Yorba Linda or Anaheim Hills, right? Like what other communities, when people are that you're working with, Sean, in your area, what other cities do they generally consider? Sorry, put yourself on mute there for a second. Came off, then it came back on. If not, sorry, now you got your video, but no mute. Perfect.
Okay. Yeah, like Brea, Placentia, you hit it, Anaheim Hills, Yorba Linda, Orange, Villa Park, Orange Park Acres, all those different areas.
Right? So what you can do is you can take the top ones, right? Because you can do all of them, but it just might be a bloated thing. But you can say, hey, because I know that you primarily focus on Yorba Linda, right? So if you want to be kind of putting Yorba Linda front and center, but then also saying what other people are considering, this is an example that you can utilize, right? So if you know that there are consistent cities, or if you have, this is what was really cool, is you can hyper personalize this to the client. You can say, I have a client that is looking in Yorba Linda, but they're also considering Brea, Anaheim Hills, whatever, Placentia, and they're looking between the price points of X and Y, okay? You can then go and utilize this exact system, okay? Da-da-da-da. Which, by the way, I'm going to be fully transparent about this system. This came from an outside source. What's that outside source? This is from Chase Whitney. So full transparency, I asked for his permission to share this with you, right? So I do have a little disclaimer, right? So this prompt is shared with the permission of Chase Whitney for the Real Estate Collective. So by the way, he gave you guys, he does run a company called the Real Estate Collective. It is a service. I think it's like $50 a month if you want to be a part of the pro plan. He said if you want to be a part of the system, he can give you guys a month free by using the code called welcome. So when you guys get your handouts, this will be here if you want to be a part of it. But this is a legitimate copy and paste to say, hey, I want you to research this city and or area, and then you can fill in the details. And it's going to ask you questions, right? And you could put in the city area, all of your information. So anything in yellow, you're going to want to input. When I did this, it then asked me, okay, what other cities and price points are they considering? And I said, cool, they're considering these ones. And then when you get that information, you then go, hold on, I'm just making sure. Okay, cool. So now you take this information and then you go into Lovable, which is that same website builder. And this is the prompt that you feed it. You say, hey, based upon this deep dive investigative report that I just asked you to make from this other service, please create this detail. And this is exactly, I literally copied and pasted this earlier this week. And this is, let me see if I can find it. This is the website. I did it for Mission Viejo, because that's where my office is, between Mission Viejo and San Clemente, which, by the way, in San Clemente, I did this one. So it built this one. It has all of my information. So if you call or if I click email, it's going to open up an email and it's going to actually email you. So hold on one second. Sorry, now it's going to open up my mail stuff. There you go. Okay. It said the sweet spot. I said that my clients were looking between 1.2 to 1.5 in Mission Viejo for single family residence, because that tends to be the average price point for single family residence that people look at. This is what they care about, right? And it goes through, oh, here's Mission Viejo. But if we want to compare it to Laguna Niguel, here's the difference. Buyers who want family functions or a more refined view-oriented backdrop. There's more views in Laguna Niguel, right? Landmarks are this, Insider Read, homes with a strong floor plan, curb appeal, park, whatever. Lake Forest, right? Laguna Hills, Aliso Viejo, Rancho Santa Margarita. You can do the same thing by saying compare your Belinda to Placentia, to Anaheim Hills, to insert whatever. So that way you can have one refined guide that you can say, hey, if you're considering your Belinda or any of these, here's a great guide that some of our clients have found super helpful. And again, if you guys notice down here, it says edit with Lovable. Why? Because this is done on the 100% free plan, right? Those of you who signed up, by the way, on this website that I put together, that said how to double your production in 2026. If you guys signed up for this website itself was built off of Lovable. So that way, again, I don't know how to design websites, but I have a tool that does it for me. Does that make sense, guys? And again, this is Lovable. You get 5 free websites that you can host completely for free. It just doesn't have like a super fancy, you can't get a custom URL for the free plan. So it'll always say .lovable.app. Like that's the only difference. And if you're cool with that and you're cool with it saying down below, edit with Lovable, get 5 free websites. Again, something pretty cool. How are we doing right now? Is our mind going too crazy right now, or can we keep going? How are we feeling? Be honest. Are you guys getting value from this right now? Cool. What I'll share with you guys is I will do an introduction.
You're doing great, sweetie.
Oh, thanks, love. It's great to have you. Thank you for the support, love of my life, right? So this is for those of you what's that?
Love you.
Oh my God, Kaylee's here too, my incredible daughter. This is the greatest day of my life. Which, by the way, you guys, I'm gonna be honest, I was super nervous right before we hit go on this, so it means a lot to me that you guys are all here, because I don't know if you know this, but I am a human being, and I do like I'm still sweating. My hands are sweating right now. Knees shakes, arms are heavy. I haven't had mom's spaghetti, but that's a whole different topic. Now, question: is anybody like totally 100%? I'm solid on this, dude. This is all a recap. Because if so, I'll go way far. But if not, I will just tease this. Okay, Mike, I appreciate that. Best webinar ever. I appreciate you trying to bring value. Hopefully we get value out of it. I will tease this step 2 because this is a huge, and I mean huge topic that in and of itself is like, I have spent probably cumulative, without exaggeration, 50 hours in the last probably 30 days researching and playing around with this. So I'm going to literally like tease this out. And that is the beginning of level 2. Remember I said that there's 3 levels of AI. Number 1 is just for answers. Believe it or not, everything we just did kind of like Lovable is like that entry, like it's doing stuff, but still you're having to prompt it to do, right? I'm going to tease level 2, which is automations. Okay. There are 2 main tools. If you feel like you got this on lock, which I'm telling you guys, if you do what we just talked about, those 3 things, right? Number 1 is you nail your brand voice, and then you get that 30-day content calendar, right? Number 2, you learn how to do listing presentation prep that blows everybody else out of the water. And then number 3, you can do hyper-specific, hyper-relevant buyer guides, okay? Relocation guides for that. That right there is going to miles apart set you apart. How you can help streamline your life, cool, is getting into level 2, which is more automations. There's 2 main tools right now that I'm aware of. There's more, but like there's 2 main ones that I would encourage you to investigate. Is number 1, Perplexity Computer. Okay? Perplexity Computer. Terry, I know that you're a subscriber to that. Is that correct? Could you share at a high level really quick for those of us, because full transparency, I have yet to use that. What is it about Perplexity Computer on like a 30-second overview for you? Because I don't want to put you on the spot because we didn't talk about this ahead of time.
Yeah, thanks,
How
Jacob.
you would introduce that to somebody?
I would just basically call it an AI agent, and that's
Mhm.
really what they call it. So it's
Yeah.
really your personal assistant. So
Yeah.
I went into Perplexity Computer the day that I got it, didn't know how to use it, and I connected. I literally told it to connect to my follow-up boss, and then go in and create new activity plans because I'm like you trying to recruit agents to our office. So I went in and said, please clean up my follow-up boss, remove any, duplicate contacts that went in. And I said, please add email addresses if you can find them and phone numbers. It went and added what it could find online. And then I said, please make me a 6-week recruiting campaign activity plan. It went and wrote all the letters. And then it asked me now, of course, it had to ask me for my API key. So I went into follow-up boss, just grabbed the API key, plugged it in, and just sat back and let it run.
Love
And
that.
then it's just sending out emails to agents in the marketplace that I'm trying to go after. So you can really automate things. It's basically like your assistant. I have it. I'm using it for a ton of different things. It's unbelievable, quite frankly.
I love that.
And it's $20 a month if you buy it for the year.
Right? And where did you just open it up and say, "Cool, do all these things for me," and it ran perfect?
Yeah, it almost did, to be honest with you. It really is intelligent. And I did what you mentioned earlier. So I went into ChatGPT and asked it to download. I put a prompt in saying, I would like you to create my persona profile, so that I can put it into Perplexity. And I took my profile, all my chats and everything that I was doing in ChatGPT, and I moved it over to Perplexity. So it learned me very quickly. So,
Love that.
but it ran out of the box pretty quickly.
Love that. Love that.
Yeah.
So that's an example, right, of a tool. Full transparency. I shared with you guys from the get-go. I'm not a tech guru. I'm not claiming to be that. I'm a consumer. I'm someone who just works, just like you guys, all the freaking time. I hardly have enough time to think, let alone do a lot of other stuff. So I'm getting a lot of this stuff done in the early mornings because I'm a freaking neurotic, crazy person that my wife is like, why are you falling asleep on the couch at 9:30, like sitting straight up? Because I'm freaking exhausted because we're going hard, right? But here's the second tool, and this is the one that I personally am a subscriber to, and that's called Claude. But Claude has 3 different levels. Okay, and I'm going to share that with you guys right now. There are 3 different levels of Claude. The free version, you have access to one and only one, and that is called Claude Chat. That is exactly like ChatGPT. It does writing a little bit better. Does that make sense? Like it's pretty much a ChatGPT copy and paste. For example, here is here is when you open up Claude with a chat, right? Let's go to here. Let's go to ChatGPT with a new chat. Does that look pretty damn similar, right? It's like, hey, what's on your mind today versus good afternoon, Jacob. That's really the only difference. It looks exactly the same. The layout is exactly the same. But when you get into co-work, this is where it can start actually doing something for you. Cool? Because in the top left, if you notice, it doesn't say new chat, it says new task. Cool? So, what this allows you to do is to do stuff on your computer. So, I have actually given it access to my computer. Now, I'm not insane, so I haven't given it access to all of my computer. You tell Cowork where in your computer it is allowed to work in. And of course, I'm having to trust that it's only looking in there. Who knows? We can all talk about nefarious things that eventually AI is going to take us all over. We're going to live in Terminator land, probably, but not yet, right? So I have a folder on my desktop called Cowork OS. That just stands for Cowork Operating System. And within Cowork, it has created 100% of the things that are in here, including this folder about me. I did not create this about me folder. It did. How did I do that? I created something that I said, here's like my actual chat that I had with it. Which, by the way, this is legitimately how I use the tool, you guys. Let me see if I can zoom in so you guys can see this. I said, this is my first time trying Claude Cowork. Like this, remember how I said if you don't know, ask it? This is my first time trying Claude Cowork, and I would like to set up my file system in order to utilize Cowork to help me improve my work. Please help me set up this file folder and ask any relevant questions in order for you to understand properly what I'm looking to accomplish. And it says, cool, welcome. It's like, welcome. You're new here. I'll be gentle. Like we work automatically. You know, it's built around the, like it's telling me how to use it. Then it says, hey, let's get you set up. It just takes a few minutes. Based on your profile, I already know you're a real estate agent. Why? Because it read my other stuff before. And I say, cool, whatever. Then it says, hey, based upon that, what's your major thing? And then it just asks me questions. And it says, hey, by the way, in order for me to help you do that, I recommend you add these additional tools. And I say, cool, there you go for it. I added it because I clicked add. Then it says, great, you got this. And I say, cool, can you please make me some subfolders? Can you please make one that's called recruiting? Can you please make one that's called coaching? Can you please make one that's called office meetings? And please create one that's called content creation. So guess what it did? I now have coaching, content creation, office, but if you notice there's more. Why? Because I asked it to. Then I said, oh, hey, by the way, right? I would like you to have access to my brand voice. So can you help me set that up? And it said, cool. This is, by the way, how I created all of these documents in here about me. Is I said, I want you to have access to this. Can you ask me the questions? But this is where it becomes different. If you have ever used ChatGPT or regular Claude to create documents, it'll keep making new documents and you'll keep downloading and re-downloading and downloading again and down. Like, if you guys ever had that, like my brand voice version 1, brand voice version 2, brand voice version, and you're like, shit, which one is it? And you have all this, they call it AI slop. That all of a sudden your downloads folder is littered with AI generated. Has anyone done that before? Like, am I the only one that's made that horrible? Thank you, Brad. Thank you for being willing to admit that, because that's me. So what's different about this is it never has to regenerate. It will actually just go into the document and then make edits and correct it. And so that way you'll never again have to download and re-upload, download and re-upload. It just says, okay, cool. Do you want me to just do this? Cool. So for example, I'll show you an example of automations using this, okay? Is I had a meeting with somebody. Okay. I created, now in Claude, they have things that are called skills. If anybody's used to using ChatGPT, there are things that are called like GPTs. You guys know, have you guys ever heard of those before? Or in Gemini, they're called gems, or what, like it means like you're doing a repetitive task. So you create, this is called like a shortcut. So I created one that's called recruiting debrief. And I'm using this as an example to show you what you can do. Like, let's say you say, cool, after my listing appointments, what I always want to have happen is you say, I want to send this note to my team. I want you to create a Word document that summarizes everything that we talked about. I want you to check on my calendar to make sure that I have all the details. You guys get the point. Like, you can have it do repetitive tasks. So here's what mine did, okay? What it did is that it went into my notes app called Granola. This is the power, is that it connects my Granola AI note-taking app to this. And it goes into my AI note taker. And it says, based upon who you met with, there wasn't anybody that was named this, but there was a meeting that was entitled this, and the participant's name sounded like that. So I believe that's who it is. Great. So I found it. Today's meeting was with this. Let me read the transcript. Got it. This is everything that I want. Now let me read your brand voice. Why? Because I'm going to have it do things in my brand voice. Then it says, great, I have everything need. Let me now read the skill about existing pipeline data. And so what it does is it does a few things. It looked through my system and it found out that there was no, sorry guys, I have a lot of things open. I'm just trying to double check everything I have, right? It went into my Cowork OS I'll zoom in so you guys can see this a little bit better. My apologies, guys. I know that we're over our time, but hopefully you guys are getting value, and I'll do this for a limited number of times, so that way we get out of here. So I have a recruiting folder. I have it look in my recruiting folder or your active clients folder, right? I found that now I have a folder entitled Saeed. I did not have one. It created it for me. Then it went in and created who Saeed is. This is who he is. I met him yesterday. We met in person. His current brokerage is none because he doesn't have his license yet. He's supposed to get his license in 10 days. He's a new agent. He currently lives, you guys get the point, right? It gives me a full debrief. It goes over what the next steps are, where his mindset is, and it builds it. Not only does it do that, but it will then go into my folder and it will add him to my list of agents that I have met with. So now I have an active list of who I've met with. But then it'll also go into my email. Oh, whoops. Sorry. I sent a lot of emails over the last 24 hours. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go Saeed. And I sent him this email, all without me writing it. Hi, Saeed. It was great connecting today. I really enjoyed sitting down with you. The fact that the reason why he got his license is because he was a flipper and he paid his agent 45 grand. And he's like, you know what? F it. I'm getting my license. Right? Like that was his spurring event. I was like, cool. You know, you got something because over a decade he's done car sales, all that fun stuff. Again. So what did it do? All I said was, hey, please debrief my appointment. What did it do? It checked and said, hey, by the way, you don't have a folder set up. Let me create a folder for you. Let me write this document for you. Let me go through all of your notes, find out everything you talked about. And it broke it up into like what next steps are, what's him, what's this. It built that folder. Then it added him to my spreadsheet that I'm created. Anybody have a spreadsheet that you set up once, but then you never update it? So now your data's old and now you're going through all that shit. You don't have to do that again, right? Pardon the language. I'm getting excited, right? Then it created an email. Right? And it put it in there. You can have it give you permission every time, or you can say, I trust you, and it always does it. It's up to you about whatever things you want. So you are able to connect, these are called connectors, to all of your different systems. So I have it connected to my calendar so it can read, oh, I see that you had an appointment with so-and-so today. It has their email address in the calendar invite. So it says, oh, I found their email address, so I'm already going to put their email address into the email. Yeah, see what I'm talking about? Like it's way different than copying and pasting every little thing. This is one sentence that I built a skill once and I can use it multiple times. Now you can do this for listing appointments. You can do this, hey, debrief my open house. And it goes into whatever system you use. And it says like, hey, it looks like you had these 10 people. It's already been added to your follow-up boss account because maybe you use Curb Hero or whatnot. And what I'm going to do is I'm now going to do research for you. What's really cool about Claude Cowork is you can also make it so that it's like, hey, I don't want you to wait. I want you to have what's called a scheduled task that you can say, I always want you when I'm finished with an appointment to automatically debrief it. Whenever this happens, it triggers this thing to happen and it does it automatically for you. I haven't gotten there yet. Again, I'm falling on the sword. I'm still learning. I'm still growing. But that's an intro. That is an intro to level 2. As an example. So we went through a lot today, didn't we? Holy crap. Anyone else crazy out of their mind right now?
Right? Hey, Jacob, quick question.
Danny, what's up, brother, man?
Great presentation. Thanks, man. Appreciate you sharing all the good nuggets.
Yeah, for sure.
So if we kind of want to dig deeper in our own particular uses with you, are you available to help people like that, or?
So this is the beginning, Danny, of a big what I will call revolution in how we're going to be rolling things out. So here's the thing: is the managers, Danny, right? Like Jeremiah and I, we're going to be getting together next week to have like a deep dive into some cool stuff that we're going to be rolling out. So here's the thing. Of course, you guys know that I'm always available in all this, but I also want you guys to leverage your managers as well because they're all freaking awesome and we all work together. But absolutely, this will be consistent things that we will be doing as things start improving. Because I don't know if you guys know this, but things are changing every day. Like literally last week, I clicked deactivate on my ChatGPT, and I just said, "Yeah, I'm gonna keep it going." Like things are changing so dramatically fast that absolutely we're gonna continue to talk about this. We're rolling things out. There's a lot of things that are getting completely revamped. There's a lot. The whole infrastructure of the way that business as a whole is getting done is changing. At least that's a personal belief of mine. So absolutely, this will be something we will continually roll out, right? But yeah, if you guys have specific questions, of course, you guys know. Feel free. I'll put all my stuff in the chat, by the way. I apologize, you guys, if I haven't been watching the chat, in all honesty, but I'll put all of my information down below. Give me just one moment. If you guys have questions, feel free. 089. But all of us got together, at least for those of us from First Team, right? We all got together today, and we're all having the same conversations, you guys, right? So again, we're all in active communication with each other about how all these things are working. Now you guys realistically, so I'll try this. Pick one. We went over a lot. Choose one. What are the things that you feel like you need to implement moving forward? Because we went over some big topics. The reason is one thing would resonate with some of you, another thing with other ones of you, right? Some of you, like, your faces are melted off already, and I can see it as in the videos, and I apologize for that. But that's because there's so much to learn that is new, but I don't want you to forget the key of what it is that we do, right? Nothing will replace the relationships you have with your people. And what I want to share with you candidly, in all honesty, you guys, right, is that AI will not replace you. It won't. However, agents who use AI will replace the ones that don't. The way that I relate it to it is just the same as when the internet came out and when email started, right? A lot of people thought it was a fad. A lot of people said, well, I don't know, is this internet thing really going to change, right? There were people who didn't adopt it. There were people who still continued to use faxes and fax machines, right? To email, or not even, sorry, slip of the tongue, to fax offers over. Eventually now, imagine if an agent called you and said, hey, I have a great offer for you. What's your fax number? I want to send it over. You would say, are you freaking nuts? What the hell? Meaning it would be a laughing stock. That is eventually what AI usage will be. And I believe that's going to come faster than it took internet because things are moving so quick and you can do so much with it. Like, in all honesty, you guys, I utilized all of these tools to put this together today. I could not have done this, you guys, without using AI putting this together. Meaning I had, like, last night I was up until 1 a.m. using 4 different deep research tools. I had Gemini doing this 24-minute deep dive research while Lovable was taking 15 minutes building something, while Claude was taking 2.5 minutes doing something, while ChatGPT spit out something in about 1.5 seconds, right? I was using all of them at once. My computer was getting super hot, and it still took me till 1 a.m. I could have never done this without that. So my goal for you is to get started doing something, because it's not magic. It just helps you do more. But the key is, okay, the key is you have to implement it to completion. Because one thing done to completion, you guys, is better than 100 saved prompts that you'll never freaking use. Because I don't know about you, but I have downloaded way too many e-guides of the top 4 real estate prompts of today or what, like, and then it just goes in your downloads folder and it does it. I don't want this, okay? I don't want this to turn into that for you. Is that all cool? Can we all resolve right now to be one of the few agents who actually goes out and implements some of these? So, question, because I'm really bad at asking for things. My first question is, did you guys get value from today? Did you get value? I see a hand up. So one person got value. Thank you. I appreciate you. Barry Lane, I appreciate you with the hand up. I appreciate you. So if you can you please do me a favor? Again, I don't like asking for things. Oh, whoops, sorry guys. Hold on one second. Hold on one second. I'm going to put something. Give me just a moment. If you guys wouldn't mind. Sorry, hold on. If you guys wouldn't mind, if you are on a laptop, feel free to scan this QR code. If you're not on a laptop and you're on your phone, I just put a link in the chat that you could use either on the phone, whatever. This is a survey that asks you, did you get value from today? Okay, number one. But also the reason why I'm giving this to you is when you fill out this survey, it's going to ask you 4 questions. Number one, what is your name? Hopefully that's easy, right? Number two, technically 5 things, I guess. Number 2 is what would you rate today's training on a scale of 1 to 10 or 0 out of 10? What was 10 being the best, 0 being the worst? What would you rate this? Number 3, it's going to say, what's one thing that you're going to implement today? Like you're actually going to implement. Number 4 is, what would you recommend that I improve upon for more? Meaning if you're like, hey, this was okay, but you're a little too crazy, Jacob, right? You're a little too much. Tone it down a little bit, right? And then finally, number 5, and this is to me would mean the world to me. Would you be willing to share 2 to 3 sentences of how this experience was? Like, did you have like an aha moment? What was something that you walked away with that you would want, like if somebody else were to say, hey, if I were to watch this recording, would it be worth my time? What would you explain to somebody else? Literally 2 to 3 sentences if you wouldn't mind. And when you do this, the checkout, not the checkout page, but like the screen when you hit submit, it will then pop up with a screen that gives you a link to all the handouts that I promised you guys. Is that cool? Because I want to get you guys all what I promised you, which is all the prompt vault. I'll show you exactly what it has. So if you can scan, hopefully you guys all scanned this already. But what it has the prompt vault with 34 exact things about exactly what I've literally copied and pasted it from my accounts about exactly how I did the things that I did, right? It has a whole page, or sorry, not a whole page, but it has 18 pages of 34, or was it 35? 35 prompts of exactly how you can do certain things. I also give you the actual reports that I did to create all of these details, so that way you can see it live and in person. It also has the relocation guide prompt from Chase Whitney from the REC, right? Feel free to leverage that. Again, this is shared with his permission. Thank you for letting us do that. It also has all the slides that we talked about today, right? Again, so it will send you a link right to here. But hopefully you guys can literally take the 30 seconds it takes in order to get access to all of those things. But I really, truly, 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 guys, more than anything, I just appreciate you spending this time with me, because I know none of you were making money while you're here. And I don't take that for granted, because I know that then we can't get our time back ever. And the fact that you are willing to spend this amount of time with me on this means the world. And the one thing that I could ask in addition to this, guys, go out and apply this and let me know what results you're getting, because I appreciate kudos. I love it. Trust me, it helps me do all the things I do. It makes staying up till 1 in the morning worth it. But what I love even more are the small little text messages of, even if you send me your very first link that you build in Lovable, like, hey, Jacob, what do you think about this? That to me, that you implemented. Or if you're like, hey, I sent that to a buyer, we just got him into escrow. Or hey, I did that, signed the listing, crushed it. That's what matters to me, because as much as I love having fun and as much as I love this industry, I love all of you. The one thing, I'll be honest, that I love even more is winning. And when you guys win and I can feel selfishly a small part of that, that makes everything worth it. Because in all honesty, I'll be real, this took me a lot of freaking time. I'm still sweating like crazy, but hopefully for you guys, it was all worth it. Because please keep me updated on all the things you're doing. Go out there and sell a crap ton of houses and help a crap ton of people, but doing it in a way that helps you keep your sanity at the same time. But if all else fails, thank you guys for hanging out with me. I'm going to pause the recording, but I will allow some time for Q&A in case you guys want to do it. Is that cool? We're solid? Was today helpful? Thank you. Too much? Awesome. I'll see you guys there.
Hey, JK.